Hi everyone. Thank you for coming to my channel, Zoe Levy channel. I'm so grateful that you even bothered to press the link and even come see me talk about everything and anything. I'm so excited that this is my first episode, kind of freaking out a little bit just because I've always wanted to do this. So thanks for coming to my channel. I've always wanted to say that. So what I'm going to ask you now is to hit the subscribe button and also the little bell on the side. That's the notification button. So whenever I post anything, any mini-sode or the longer episodes, then you get first-hand information that I've done it. So I'm just going to wait here for a little bit for you to do that. Okay, done. Good. Like I said on my podcast, this past Thursday, I always plan these episodes. I plan what I'm going to talk about. So even for my first episode on the YouTube channel, I had said that I was going to talk about. I had planned like what I was going to talk about, and events of Saturday. These Saturdays, man, events of Saturday, nothing to do with me, but for the whole world. We learned that Chadwick Boseman had passed away. Not that that was extraordinary in itself, but also that he had been fighting cancer for 4 years. And that's why I named this episode the C word, not the bad one, cancer, just to highlight some things. And I think I'd been talking about this earlier about triggers and trigger words and trigger episodes. And for me, I learned that cancer is a trigger word for me. And why that is that I lost my father, Brian Musonda, lovely man, my father, I love him. We lost him in November of 2004. So that's going on 16 years now. And 15 years, 16 years. So we lost him and it was very heartbreaking. My heart hasn't broken many times, just a few. And that was one of them because I loved him so much. And one of my greatest fears in my life was losing my parents. Like if I lost my parents, like, oh my gosh, that's my biggest fear. And so I thought that we should just talk about some of the many things that maybe we're feeling, maybe personally, also just you don't know him, but we're humans and things affect us and we get touched and we get affected by stuff like that. Guys, seriously, like it's nearly October. I'm freaking sweating like a bloody cow. So I'm really sorry if I keep wiping my face. It's so hot, and I don't have my glam squad here today. But in all seriousness, so when I heard he'd passed, I was up. Like I wake up really early, just I lose sleep, and so it was like 4 a.m. when I saw a post on Instagram, and I thought, oh my gosh. Then I kind of started reading around it and how people had noticed. I didn't see any of this. People had noticed that he'd lost weight, and they thought it was for a role, and apparently he did a Instagram live in April, and it was really gaunt and skinny, and people made fun of him. And for me, looking at that picture of him so thin, as opposed to when we'd known him, it brought back so many memories of like just how my father's physique changed leading up to his death, because he was diagnosed like a year and a bit just before his death, so he didn't have for long. And when he was diagnosed, it was stage 4. So at this point, it's chemo and radiation, but people just don't know. They're just kind of trying to help you, but there's nothing else they could do for him. But before I go into that, I wanted to just thank everybody for coming on here, and also anybody that's been following my podcast and listening. I do want to say I really appreciate you. I think the numbers yesterday for the first episode were at 197. And then for the second one, I think we're up to 53. So I'm so grateful that you guys take time out, 25 minutes out of your day to listen to me do a lot of this jabber on. And I really do appreciate it. And also why I just wanted to explain like why I'm doing this. I just want to inspire people. I want to be inspired by other people. I want to share my life. I want to share my experiences, and I want other people to feel that there's a place where they know that someone else is going through something similar or the same thing. And I've received so much heartwarming feedback of people who really appreciate what I'm doing, and maybe even raising some questions they have for themselves. But sometimes when you hear from other people, it kind of like validates what you were thinking and brings it to light even more. And I'm so grateful that I can do that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I just wanted to say that my podcast, Zoe Levy, is always posted on Thursdays at 1 p.m. CAT. Okay. So please follow me on SoundCloud, Zoe Levy, and on Instagram, Zoe Levy Z. Thank you. Okay, back to the matter at hand. Yeah, so it was so triggering for me because I thought about my dad again. I was working in the United States at the time, and we were supposed to take him for treatment to Mexico for some holistic kind of more natural treatment for cancer, and we were just waiting for him to get better, and then we would go there. So I was actually preparing like hotels and tickets and all that stuff because I was in North Carolina at the time. And my sister called and she was crying and she said, I had to go. Oh, they were in the UK. He died in London. So I covered my mouth. He died in London. And so just from everything that they said, I needed to leave. It was more like literally like any minute. The doctor had given him 7 more days to live, basically. And I found a flight and I went. And God knew that I had to be there as he took his last breath because I think I wouldn't have had the closure that I needed. I've spoken to friends who've lost parents and they feel, they weren't there that last breath and they feel they couldn't have handled that. I know that God saw my heart and that I needed to be there. I needed to be there with my sister. Chabala, one of my sisters, but Chabala and I were there and we just needed to share that together. So seeing Chadwick deteriorate like that made me remember my dad. May his soul rest in peace, both of them, my dad and Chadwick. And Chadwick's family, just losing somebody to losing somebody, period, is painful. Losing somebody to cancer and seeing them deteriorate and become the person that they were not your whole life. I was 25 when my dad passed, and it was tough. It's been tough. There's not a day that passes that I don't think about him, hear him calling my name. I wish he'd have seen my children, my sister's children. He would have been an awesome grandfather. And so those moments, are the ones where I really, really miss him. But going back to Chadwick, and I thought about him, and to be fair to me, I think I've only seen 2 movies. I've only seen Black Panther and 21 Bridges. And when I watched Black Panther, Marvel fans, please just bear with me. I watch movies alone in the cinema. I go for the first showing, 1 in the morning. On my days off, I'll go in the morning by myself, popcorn. I don't like all of this in the background, people laughing too. No. So I usually go in the morning on a weekday, usually 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 10:30, whatever. So I went, I was like, Black Panther, let's do this, Wakanda. And I came out of that movie very neutral. Like, I was like, okay. Like, for me, I was like, oh, like a black Superman or a black Iron Man. Like, I didn't have the worldwide feeling of greatness and this is that people were having. And leading up to Black Panther, not with spoilers, but just how people were receiving it and how people were feeling, I felt like I wasn't doing it justice with how I felt about it. And when I look back and now think, and I was talking to my cousin today about, and her friend was like, I felt the same. Like, I didn't feel like I needed to cross my hands. It was because a lot of people who had this outer body experience about Wakanda, and a lot of the things that I'd read were from the United Kingdom, from the United States, and from South Africa. And I thought, why am I not feeling this huge sense of, I was huge, and I had a huge sense of pride. The language, the costume, the accent, like in terms of Africa being represented, I was blown away. But in terms of that whole, like, people were like, no, my children, you've uplifted my children. They feel they belong somewhere. And I thought, why am I not feeling that way about this for myself? Then I realized in these other societies, where the Black Lives Matter movement is so strong, so much stronger than Zambia. In Zambia, and a lot of people, like a lot of interviews, people were saying, yeah, because we got to see scientists, black scientists, and black kings and black warriors. And I was like, but I live that. There's like two lawyers in my family, there's a doctor, there's an accountant, I own my own business with my mom. So then I thought, but this is my life. But I think what it was then is those societies where black people have been oppressed for so long, they needed something like that where you can identify with people not putting you down. And I was filled with such overwhelming gratitude that I get to live in my country. Every country has its ups and downs, bads and goods, but I get to live in a country where I see successful people all the time. I see lawyers, doctors, scientists performing awesome things in their industry, people opening up hotels, and people. I have a friend who, her and her family are building a hotel. It's not like, oh my gosh, this thing's happening. Because I think our repression was so far back, number one, but also number two, it's probably masked. I don't know, but it doesn't happen to me on a daily basis, and I thank God for that. So I didn't feel this. My children will now be uplifted because it's this one movie. My children get to see their aunts and uncles, mother, father be leaders anyway. So I don't feel guilty that I didn't feel this worldwide phenomenon of what it meant for, let's say, an 11-year-old boy in America, in South Carolina, in Washington, D.C. Or I felt more gratitude that my fight to show my children that they can be what they want to be isn't as hard as it is in the United States. And I get that at even recent events of black people being shot and things. That is alien to Zambians. Like, okay, we get like the crime and all that stuff, but the life that is being oppressed right now is, we feel for everybody. And the gratitude, the two things from Black Panther that I took away is, number one, that, and number two, obviously, the African representation, as much as it could be authenticated, without it being too stereotypical or too crazy. But those are the things. And I thought to myself, like, when I thought about Black Panther, I was like, that's what it was. It was that I don't have to fight as hard as an African American or an African British to feel recognized, to have my place in my environment, in my community. As much as you'll go through the local things, but I don't have to fight so hard against another race that feels superior to me, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's one thing I took from that. Another thing I think I've taken from his death is your family or your inner circle just keeping a damn secret. You guys, this guy was fighting cancer for 4 years. It never leaked. And they can't say that only he knew and his mother knew. People knew, his agent knew, but it never leaked. And I thought that was so beautiful, that you can trust people and ask people to respect your privacy. And no one said anything. We are all people. Like, the director for Black Panther has written this evening that he had no idea. He had no idea whatsoever. And I think also it comes from, maybe he just didn't want the pity that comes from it. He didn't want the attention. His death has blown me away, of just how somebody can just live that life and just keep it so private, but then work so hard. How many of us, even now, even like a cold, We are in the bed. We want to tell everybody. We post it on our status. We post it everywhere to just say we're feeling down. That one day he was fighting stage 3 cancer that I guess progressed into stage 4, but he was quiet about it. And that has amazed me, and just how he was just like, this thing is not going to dictate my life. That was so beautiful to me. And also just the tight knitness of the family. And he wanted to be an actor. And that was him living his best life. Like, the life that I have left, I will be the thing that I wanted to be. And this week, I talked about living your best life, and that it's not about travel. It can be. Please, I'm not taking away anything, but I'm saying, don't feel discounted because you can't then go to the Maldives, that you're then not living your best life. Our best lives are so different, every single one of us. So I just thought, that is, how many of us wake up in the morning and we're living the life that we want, or the life that we should, without trying to have people feel sorry for us or do us favors because we're not this, because I'm female, because I'm this, because, you know what I mean? Just people, you going after what you deserve and working so, so hard for it. This death has affected me in a way where it's made me think, just the way he conducted himself has made me just reflect on just how precious. 43, I'm 41, and he's my age mate. You know what I mean? I'm not ready to die, but he didn't have a choice. But he still lived so well for himself, and I think we're only finding out today that he did marry his girlfriend, I think in the last few weeks or something. That's maybe something he'd always dreamed to do, and did it. Knowing that he won't be here for children, to have children. Oh God, I thank God that I have had my children. I thank God that I not even discounting anybody who hasn't had kids or can't have. I'm just being thankful for what I have right now, and that we take so much for granted, and so we're so flippant about, like, oh, this can happen and this can happen, but it can all be taken away in like a literally blink of an eye. Yeah, so another thing I wanted to just do is just honor people that have either survived cancer, are living with cancer, are living with family members that have cancer right now, have lost somebody to cancer. I just want to applaud you and love, and send love and my prayers and my just my prayers. I don't know how else to say this. Like, it's so hard. It's so hard to see somebody you love go through this. It's so hard. I can't even imagine for somebody to actually go through it. I can't imagine. And so just to honor you, and to just honor you. To just honor you. Like, just the fight is so hard. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen my dad get sick, vomiting after chemo, just vomiting for a whole week, and he can't eat. So what is he vomiting? It's so painful to watch, and you cannot do anything to help, So, sorry, just my notes here. Yeah, so I think this episode was more just an introduction into me. I'm just doing my first episode. I was gonna do my face, I was gonna wear an outfit, but I think just to be real and authentic for me, I love looking like this sometimes. This is me. Other times I'll beat my face, but I think to just what I wanted to talk about today, I just didn't want the faff about it. I wanted to just be real. Yeah, just be real with you all, and just recognize somebody. And Africans, it's our funeral. You know what I mean? You go to neighbor's house and don't know if there's an uncle who died, and you just go. Yeah. And that's how we are as Africans. Like, we would have gone to the funeral house for Chadwick, just to be like, we've gone to the funeral. And I think that's how I'm feeling this weekend. Just sad that he lost his life at such a young age, but so grateful that we got to see him in those roles. But at least, for me, what's him is just how he's lived this illness. You know, where people are just coming out, people you think that should have known didn't know, and just how he wanted just that to not be the focus of anything. There's an actor, Josh Gad. He did a movie with him, and he was on Instagram this morning, and he was very emotional, and he posted a text message that Chadwick had sent him. I don't know how far back this is, but bear with me one moment. I'm gonna read it. It's really long, but it really touched me, and I think we'll pick out a couple of messages. It's just him talking to his friend, but then towards the end, he says something really effective. If you are in Los Angeles, you woke up this morning to the rare and peaceful sound of a steady precipitation. If you're like me, maybe you looked at the week's forecast and found that it's supposed to rain for 3 straight days, not without breaks of sunlight and reprieves of moist gloom. But yeah, it's going to be coming down like cats and dogs. Great. We're stuck inside these darn quarantines because of the COVID, and now we can't even get no sun in Cali. Come on now. But now that the rain has stopped and today's storm has cleared, I urge you to go outside and take a deep breath. Notice how fresh the air is right now. After our skies have had a 3-week break from the usual relentless barrage of fumes from the bumper-to-bumper LA commuters, and now today's rain has given the City of Angels a long overdue and much-needed shower. Inhale and exhale this moment, and thank God for the unique beauties and wonders of this day. We should take advantage of every moment we can. Enjoy the simplicity of God's creation, whether it be clear skies and sun or clouded over with gloom. And hey, if the air is this clear right now and it does rain tomorrow, I might even put up jars and bins out and catch the rain. That touched me so much, because how many days do we spend feeling sorry for ourselves or having a bad day? But we can exhale and inhale. There are people who have died who would give one more day to be here. To give one more day to be here. And we have that blessing every day. And he said, inhale and exhale this moment and thank God for the unique beauties and wonders of this day. It's a wonder that a bird can fly. We take it for granted. It's a wonder that the sun moves and gives us warmth and light. Right now it's dark, but the sun will rise and it will be bright. How often do we take those things for granted? We're going through so much stuff that clouds our minds, that puts a sunscreen over our eyes, because we can't see the unique beauties of the day. So I say to you, going into next week, try to see the unique beauties of that day, of the week. This has been Zoe, and I'll see you next time.